All grown ups were once children, but only a few remember it. This is Sidetracked.
Sidetrack, we're getting sidetracked. Yes, we're getting sidetracked.
What were we talking about?
Yung podcast.
Wait, are we recording already?
Yeah, we were just about to start.
Should we start that again?
Again?
Nah, it's fine. Side,
Tracked?
Where? Hello, I'm Bree.
I'm Kay,
And I'm Lila.
and we are
Our
Sidetracked.
Sidetrack!
Wow, sabay-sabay.
Nuts. Anyway, so for this episode, we're gonna be talking about The Little Prince, the film. Not the book, but the book will be brought up sometime later because there's like some important details. Anyway, so basically, The Little Prince, the movie, is focused around a little girl and her mother and their journey to understanding each other and the understanding the importance of preserving your inner child.
Mhm.
So before we begin everything, we're gonna be talking about the little girl and the mother right at the end because I feel like dun tayo maraming masasabi. But for now, let's talk about the little prince. Let's get to know the little prince and Mr. Prince. So the little prince, he lives in asteroid B612. Interestingly, I remember there's this beauty app on the App Store called B612.
612.
Wala
Yeah,
na.
I know
Really?
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like a filter app that whitewashes you called B612. I'm not
Maybe
kidding.
is it a reference to the Little Prince or
I don't
was it just
know
like
because my mom
I
used
never
that app
used
a
it.
long time. My mom used it,
Mm,
and it was in the phone that she gave me, so I saw it
Mm.
there. And that's why when I heard the asteroid of the prince, I'm like, wait, B612, B612. That's so familiar. Why do I know B612? And then apparently it's an app that my mom has used. So yes. Anyway,
mm.
what can you guys say about The Little Prince and even Mr. Prince?
You know what? I've actually never read the book. I had it,
Me too.
but I never read it. I only remember the boa constrictor, and
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself as like what, a high schooler or a grade schooler,
Uh huh.
saying, I thought this was about the little prince. Why is there a snake on the book?
I feel like we have the same introduction to The Little Prince because my younger sibling owned the book and then I borrowed it. And then the first time I read it, it was also about the boa constrictor. I feel like the first thing that people will remember about The Little Prince is the boa constrictor. And I was like, wait, where's the prince though?
Where's the prince? Why am I reading about a snake? And why does it look like
Exactly.
a hat?
Exactly.
I can't relate because I've never read The Little Prince.
Like, were you like? Did you have any kind of awareness about the
I
Little
know
Prince
The
before
Little
this?
Prince, but like I just
Yeah.
never read it or
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't
I
know the
see.
story. Basta alam ko he's in another planet.
The only thing I remember about the Little Prince in relation to you was every time I go with you whenever you wanna buy another manga from
Yeah,
this bookstore that
fully
we
booked.
go to.
It's
Yeah,
fine. You could
fully booked.
say it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Whenever
the
we go
only
to
bookstore that sells manga here.
That's true. So whenever we go to Fully Booked and then I'm like
Mm.
accompanying you to buy like a new manga, ang dami ko nakikita na The Little Prince doon. Different versions, different like,
Mm.
right? Tapos may mga coloring book, may mga ganun. And
Yeah.
I remember I would always freak out. I'm like, The Little Prince! And then I just never bought one.
Yeah.
I just
I
left it.
had
I
I had
remember
the
that.
I had the white
Yes.
cover one.
Yes.
It
My
had
sibling
really
also
cute,
had, yeah.
really cute drawing.
Yeah. My sibling also had the white one. Pero
Mhm.
I really wanted to buy the blue one. It's really pretty. Anyway, so what do you guys think The Little Prince is about? Just
All
first
I
impressions.
Well, I said it. I'm like,
Okay.
it's a snake.
Okay.
But the movie itself, it's pretty straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Na it's about connecting to the inner child.
What do you think
I'm
about the character? Oh, sige, Brie.
I'm not gonna lie though. I don't have a first impression for the Little
Mhm.
Prince because I don't know what it's about. Alam ko lang nasa other planet siya. So it's like, oh okay, he's in another planet.
How does he live?
Pero nung movie, it was
Mhm.
like, so this is the Little Prince, but we're focusing on the little girl. So shouldn't it be the little girl?
Little girl.
I mean, there is a parallelism there. I actually
I mean,
pointed it out in my
yeah,
notes. Yeah.
there is a parallelism, but like it's just funny because it's the little girl, but it's the little prince. You know, your first impression ko, but like I don't
Okay.
really have much to say about the
What
little
do you guys
prince.
think he symbolizes apart from like childhood, like inner child?
Immaturity, I guess. It's like the
Okay.
first word that comes into my
Mm-hmm.
head when I think of
Mm-hmm.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And it really makes you think, how does he survive in his own world, living the way he does? Like with
Mm.
his own thinking.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would argue though, the immaturity is more reflective of the rose.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get to that. So the little prince symbolizes the inner child, it's also the innocence. He has a very innocent view of love as well, which will be expanded as he explores through space. That's kind of like, I guess, the point of his exploration. It's to like
Mm-hmm.
get answers about love and like what love is, what love entails, what love is for. And the fox is actually the one who will answer it, a lot of his questions. The fox is the one that expands the little prince's understanding about love. So he had this shift from when he was a kid little prince and Mr. Prince the adult. He went from grown-ups are very odd. He keeps thinking that every time he meets another grown-up, so the king, the
Mm-hmm.
businessman, and then it switched into Mr. Prince. Children are very odd because the planet that he was found in was the grown-up planet and no child is
Mm-hmm.
allowed in that planet. It's illegal to be a child there. And so finding the little girl in that planet or in that asteroid was a very, very odd thing. It's catastrophe, as he
Mm-hmm.
says. Now, for the pilot or the aviator or the narrator,
Wait, I
what do we
have
think?
a comment about the difference between Mr. Prince and the
Okay,
Little Prince.
go ahead.
It's very, what's the word? Mirroring us now. Because
Yeah,
we were once children and
yeah,
we found adults really weird. Like, why do they think that way? And
yeah.
then now that we're grown up, we're like, why the fuck is this child acting this way? Can they shut up?
That's true. That's
Whose
true.
child is this? Take it
and
away.
then and then when we were younger, when we were kids, we think we know everything, right? We
Mm,
think we're so mature. And then we see kids that were our age that time and we just think
you
you're
don't know
a small
anything.
child. You are a child. You know nothing. And like it's just a comical sight every time you see a child
Mm,
act so mature, like how we did when we were younger,
mm-mm,
like act as if they're like the adult or something, and then you just can't
mm-mm.
help but cringe, like, why did I do that? Why did I
Some
behave that way?
it's my thoughts before I go to bed. All the
It's the 3 a.m.
embarrassment.
shame.
Yeah. Just to add to that, it's fascinating if you think about it that when we were children, we think the world is really small, that we can conquer it. And then as adults, we feel small and the world is too big and we feel
Yeah,
insignificant.
it gets so overwhelming then na parang
Mm-mm.
why am I here? Like the
Yeah.
dread comes in.
Did
And
I
it
ask to be here?
but it makes sense then with what you said. Nah, when Little Prince was a little prince, his world was small. His planet
Mm-mm.
pala was
Mhm.
small.
Yeah,
He only had like the rose
yeah.
sim. And then when he became Mr. Prince, the world suddenly became like his world. Yung planet niya, the grown up
Mm-mm.
planet, is
Yeah,
very big.
yeah.
Tapos sobrang insignificant lang ng role niya dun sa planet na yun.
Yeah. And
Mm.
like he can just be kicked out whenever.
Mm,
Samantalang in his own world, it's just him.
yeah.
It's also very reminiscent of, alam mo yung sinabi sa developmental psychology, kung nalala nyo. Yung kapag
Ay,
bata
hindi
ka,
ko na
selfish
naalala
ka.
yan.
Ay, basta yung it's the idea na kapag bata ka, selfish ka. Parang there's that
Mm,
stage of development where you're like, what is mine and what is yours is mine.
mm,
Parang may
Mm.
ganong trait like when children are very young. And yeah, it's like the little prince has like this very like narrow view on things. That's why he started exploring because he
mm.
wanted to know more. Now on the aviator, what do we think of the aviator?
The aviator's really weird. The old man. I
Yes.
noted it down na
Uh-huh.
it would be less creepy yung interaction niya with the little girl if he was a relative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually like one of like my biggest qualm about this whole plot. Like it's so creepy that a child just comes in a stranger's house.
Yeah, I know, right? He
Old
Right?
man as
he
well.
didn't just come
Yeah.
in. He crashed a propeller into their
Yes. And
house.
then came into their house, grabbed the propeller. I mean, he didn't do anything like devious, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Pero it's still such a weird concept, especially if you put it in the real world. Someone just breaks your door, comes in, takes whatever it is that broke your door, and then comes out as if nothing happened.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
it's so fucking bizarre.
You're
I
not
actually
even
have.
gonna pay for the damages.
I mean, there's a reason why he always gets like arrested.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he did pay for the damages. He gave the girl like a jar of pennies.
What am I gonna do with that? Smack you with it?
Ginamit niyang pang-order ng dinner niya. Yun yung ginawa niya.
I actually have a note about that, like the breaking in. The fan, like barging in or like breaking the house, is
Mm,
such a good metaphor of how he's going to break into the kid's life and
Mm,
like just break everything that she knows.
yeah.
mm.
Mm.
It's interesting that you're like adding like all of these parallelisms because I also have my own parallelism about their dynamic. Pero later na siya kapag dumating na tayo sa point na yun.
Samantalang ako, what is this weird old man doing?
I mean, he's still weird. No one's saying he isn't.
Yeah.
But the aviator, he was an aspiring artist when he was young. He's the one who drew the
Mm,
boa constrictor, right?
yeah.
And he was told by the adults na he should just focus on what matters, which is on what or like what is essential, which is geography or medicine, biology, all of that stuff. And so he chose to be an aviator because that's like more accepted. And I think it's like very it's like a representation of people's view of art
Mm,
and
Mm.
like how art is less than, art is not important
yeah.
compared to being a doctor or being a lawyer, being a police or
Mm,
whatever. When one could argue that everything we consume is made from art,
yeah.
Mm.
right? The design of the laptop is an art. The design of their phones is an art. The clothes they wear is an art. Movies we
Mm,
watch are art. And so it's just a really funny thing to say na that is not important. Though it's the Little Prince kind of took it to like a step further because everything is like very minimal, very
yeah.
bland, very bleak. There's no
Mm.
design or anything. So I guess they really took it to the extreme and they
Yeah.
really took it seriously. But after meeting the little prince, he realized na he wants to revisit making art again. Pero
Mm.
because he abandoned doing art after he was discouraged from doing it, he never really developed his skills. It stopped
Mm.
from the boa constrictor.
The hat with an
Yes,
elephant inside.
exactly. So after the little prince left, he decided to pick up pencils and paint and try again. And he created the book to practice his
Mm,
skills and to like it's like a love letter for the little prince. Also,
mm.
what do you guys think like about like him saying goodbye to the little girl on how he's gonna leave and find the little prince again?
I feel like he was preparing for death. Alam mo yung mga matatanda na, ito, bibigay ko sa'yo to, ganyan. Yan naman nagpe-prepare ng will.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Ganon yung pakiramdam.
Yeah. Which actually makes sense kasi the little prince also died, if you guys remember. Kasi 'di ba,
He did?
the last planet that he visited was Earth. So he went from asteroids 3625 to
See,
no, 3
365.
sorry 325 sorry.
Sige,
He
kaya mo
went
yan.
from asteroid 325 to 330, and then the last place he visited was Earth. It was the Sahara
Mm,
Desert where he met the aviator. And he
Mm.
told the aviator, I would have to go, but I cannot carry this body with me because it's too much of a burden. So he made a deal with a snake, if you guys remember the
mm,
snake. And the snake will bite him, poison him, and kill him so he can return to his rose.
mhm.
So basically, he died. So I think this whole thing is like just preparation for death, to
Yeah.
be honest. It's like a really elaborate way to discuss death and the
Mm.
afterlife and like, I
I
guess,
mean,
dealing with grief.
he is talking to a child, so he has to like make it.
I saw this review because I
Mm-hmm.
watched a review of the Little Prince movie
Mm-hmm.
just to refresh my mind.
Yeah.
Tapos the reviewer, I forgot the name of the reviewer. We'll probably put it in the description. But he said that yung interpretation niya nun is the aviator or the old man is the little prince.
Mm.
I actually thought that was what happened in the movie while we were watching it. I thought the
Yeah.
aviator was gonna come out and say that he's actually the little prince. But we didn't get that, so I was like, oh, maybe he's not. Maybe I'm thinking this wrong. But at first, I thought it was when he was like talking about like the things that the little prince went through
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
with that ano. Tas, di ba he drew it nga and stuff. I thought he was like referring to himself. And then we saw the Mr. Prince guy. I was like, oh, he's a
Oh,
different
it's not
person.
him.
Yeah, it's a different person. Even in the book, it's a different person. The aviator
Mm.
would always refer to the little prince as his friend who left 6 years ago. So basically,
Mm.
the start of the book was 6 years after he met the little prince.
Though it makes sense if you don't reference the book, like
Mm-hmm.
that interpretation kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it
Because
could work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the encounters were so detailed.
Mm.
For someone
Yeah.
that's recounting another person's story, it's too
Mm-hmm.
detailed.
He did. Okay, I'm referencing the book again.
Mm.
He did mention why he was very detailed with when he's
Mm.
remembering the little prince, and it's because he doesn't want to forget, because that's like
Uh,
the biggest issue with growing up, right? It's forgetting, and that's one
mm.
of the biggest lessons that he learned from the little prince. And he there's like a specific passage, like it was around the beginning of the book where he says, he's like, I don't want people to think I'm crazy or something when I'm writing or when they're reading this book. And the reason I am even illustrating him or even trying to draw him even when I'm bad at it is because I don't want to forget what he looks like. I don't want to forget what happened.
Mm.
That's why he's like very detailed about it. So yeah, but yeah, it's still an interesting
Take.
Theory.
take. Yeah. And it kind of makes sense. It could make sense. It's like him reuniting with his inner child as well.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's weird that he's used to being handcuffed.
He just offers
He's just
himself.
like,
Stop making the
sure.
aviator creepier than he should be.
I would be concerned, even as a child.
But it feels like the child just removed all of her sense of self-preservation because
Yeah.
of a bedtime story. If you think about it.
Your mother didn't teach you enough.
Well,
It's true.
that's the thing though. If parents like try to constrict their children, that the more the children will like
We'll
do
explore.
dangerous things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Instead of explaining why this shouldn't happen, why you shouldn't do this, you just say, don't mind him, just ignore him, just pretend he didn't exist. Because that's what the mother said. Or just pretend he doesn't exist. And
Mm.
then
Yeah.
it just piqued the girl's curiosity.
Like,
And
why are we ignoring him?
yeah, and it also doesn't help that the mother is always not at home. She's always
Mm.
gone.
Tourist spots.
Hi, so we're back with tourist spots, and this is Bree, and I want to recommend Dodie! Yay!
Yay!
Our favorite.
Yay!
So Dodie is she started as a YouTuber and then she just grew and grew. I'm so proud of her. Ah,
We love Dodie in this house.
yes.
Amen.
Apparently, I pushed Dodie to these guys. I don't remember at
Yes.
all.
Yes, you did.
But apparently I did, so there you go.
I
And
mean,
the
you never remember your like this the shit that you gate push. So
yeah, that's true. So so the songs that I want to recommend from Dodie, the first one is In the Middle. It's one of her classic songs. I know people who love Dodie knows this song, but I just really really love this song for some reason. The next one is a more recent one. It's called Burned Out. It's also one of the songs that I have on repeat. And the third one, it's it's one of my favorites. It's a long one. I have a hole in my tooth and my dentist is shut. It's literally a very, very short song. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's the only lyrics as well. I think she sang some few more, pero ito yung parang pinaka-gist ng song. It's just like, I have a hole. It's a very short song. It's all on Spotify, so she's on Spotify. She's also on YouTube, obviously. I actually don't know how to pronounce her YouTube name. Dodio.
oh, double odle,
There you go.
double
Thank
odle.
you. So that's her YouTube account, and she's also
Tama
on
ba?
Spotify, as
I'm gonna
mentioned.
check.
I don't know how to pronounce it, so there you go. Dodie. And she recently, parang ang pinaka-recent niya, as of the time of this recording, her most recent EP is Hot Mess. That's also a really good album, so go check it out, please. We need more Dodie fans in this household.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So give her more love, and she's really good. I love her so much. She also helped me embracing my sexuality.
Yes naman!
Dodie is Bree's sexual awakening,
Oh no, no, no.
basically.
Dodie's not my sexual awakening. But she was the one who was my sexual acceptance. Because she talked a lot about being bi and stuff, and that's like
Yeah,
she mentioned like a lot of relatable things, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's so true. Maybe I should accept it. So yeah, Dodie,
The
we
one
love
thing I
Dodie.
remember that she said about her bisexuality is that she's only dated men, but she's still bisexual.
Mm.
See how
Kasi it's
relatable.
about the attraction, not who you date. So like,
Amen. Dodie for president. Uh, so that's it. I hope you guys listen to Dodie and follow her everywhere. And thank you so
yes.
much.
Tourist Spies.
Okay, now for the rose. The rose, in my belief, in my own interpretation, she is the symbolism of like immaturity because she
Mm-hmm.
has like, I mean, it's her and the little prince as well, but they have like a very immature take on love. If you guys remembered, it was the rose that caused the little prince to leave and explore.
Yeah.
Kasi she was like so vain. She has so much
Yeah.
vanity. She was like,
She's
do
very
you have
selfish.
Yes, very selfish. She's like, what about my beauty? Protect my beauty. Give me a dome, a screen, blah, blah, blah. Protect me from the wind. Face me. Like, put this
Very
screen in front of
spoiled.
me. Yeah, very
Mm.
spoiled. And the prince at first was like indulging because he loves the
Mm.
rose. The rose is like the very first living thing that is not parasitic, I guess, because the baobabs,
Mm.
if you guys remember, the plants that he digs up that he prevents from growing. It's that gigantic tree that grew at the end when he was an adult. The baobab is very like parasitic, and the rose is not, and it's very beautiful. And he fell in love with the beauty of the rose, and he kind of idealized the rose. And so when the rose started focusing on her own beauty, that's when the prince was pushed away. That's when the prince realized now, oh, is this really love? Is love supposed to be this exhausting? And that's what prompted him to leave his asteroid and explore, like find out answers. And when he was leaving, the rose started professing her love for the prince, which was already too late.
Mm.
So, what is your take on their relationship?
It's very toxic.
Amen. Honestly, that's true.
Ano siya, siya yung type ng relationship na you see a lot in, ano, you see it in a lot of people na one person would like do everything for the other person, and then pag napagod na yung person na yun and then like walks away, the other person would like start showering the other
Yeah.
person with like love, I love you,
I'm
I would do
sorry.
anything for you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Love
and then like
bombing.
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
and then parang just trying to get that back kasi alam nilang that person is the only one who's going to like give that type of love to them, which is again very toxic.
Yeah, it is. And I guess the main reason why it was that toxic was because they were both young. The Rose and the Prince were
Mm,
both young. And so they have this very immature take on what love is, right?
yeah, I think the rose is immature while the little prince is childish,
Yes.
so it wouldn't work for them,
Hmm.
like the relationship, because their thinking is that way.
What is admirable, though, is that the Little Prince did find ways to grow
Mm-mm.
and
By
learn
exploring.
more and explore. Yeah, exactly. And that's where the fox will come in, because the fox is the one that gave him a lot of answers. The fox is the symbolism for wisdom and knowledge. Siya yung source of maturity for the little prince. And if you guys remember that scene where the little prince was playing with the fox and he found a garden of roses, and the rose was like, "We are roses. We are beautiful." And then the prince
Mm.
was like, "So my rose is not unique? My rose is not special?"
Mm.
And then the fox was like, "No, she's still special. Even if there's a lot of roses in the world, the time that you spent with her makes her unique. The efforts
Mm.
that you gave her makes her unique," which is very representative of the fox's relationship with the prince as well. Because
Mm.
when they first met, the prince was like, "Hey, come play with me," and then the fox was like, "I can't play with you because I am untamed. You have to tame me first. To be tamed is
Mm.
to establish connection." Sabi niya,
Mm.
"You're just an ordinary boy to me, and I'm only an ordinary fox to you, and we are one amongst many. So we are not special, we're not unique. You're no one to me." And so when they established that connection, he was like, "I will be the only one for you, and you will be the only one for me." In terms of like, you will be the only boy that I know that is like special for me, and I am that one
Mm.
fox that has been special to you. So that's kind of like the idea that he's trying to present to the little prince in terms of his relationship with the rose as well.
It's kind of the same with our relationships with other people,
Mm-hmm.
especially like romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Like other people would see our significant other as like, oh, it's just another person. But
Yeah.
then to us, they're special.
Yeah, and that's also how we would start with, even with our significant others. We're like, "You're just
Mm.
someone to me." And then once you have that connection, you're like, "Yeah, I'm in love with you. God damn it."
Why?
It's like it's like what we were talking about in episode 10.
Hmm.
Like it's weird how at first you're like, "Oh, I don't know this person," and then you just confess to each other and then suddenly you're each other's whole world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
It's a very bizarre progression of things, I would say. So
yeah.
anyway, nag-jump na tayo sa fox. So I guess we can go there for now.
Mm.
Since we because the fox is like a very significant presence for the prince din naman kasi. So the fox represents knowledge and wisdom, and he or it guided the little prince towards the more important things. There are several lessons that he, oh my god, English.
Thought
There are several
Huwag ka
lessons.
namang
imparted.
mag-Tagalog.
Di, yung Tagalog din kasi, ang hirap din eh. Nawawala na ako ng words. Hindi ako nawawala
There
ng
are
English.
several lessons that the fox imparted. to the
Yes,
Little
that's the word.
Prince.
Amen. Thank you.
Ay, my brain.
My
My
brain kasi
brain pa si
kumakain.
Kay. Oh, may food siya eh. Tayo kasi wala. Honestly, I really like the Fox's role in the Fox's character, and I fully believe in all of the perspectives that he's imparted on the prince about love. One of those is that love is a responsibility and love takes effort.
Mhm.
Love is a choice. And yung ano ko, I used to be that person who'd be like, love is a feeling. And then
Mm.
I grew up
We
and I'm
talked
like,
about
no.
this.
Yes, we talked about this before. I grew up and I'm like, no, love is a choice. It is a
Mm.
choice. It's not just a feeling. Because if it is just a feeling, it's gonna go away. It's gonna disappear.
It's really nice na when the little girl is like going to fly
Mm-hmm.
the plane,
Mm-hmm.
the fox is there.
I
It's like
know.
saying na I'm gonna guide you to that
Yeah,
boy.
Just like how he guided the boy
Mm.
to his
before.
rose.
Yeah.
It's also the fox felt a lot of pain when he learned that the prince was leaving because
Mm.
he's
Mm.
already had that bond with him and he's already like a very special boy to him. And for him to
Mm.
leave, it's like ripping a part of his soul away from him. But the fox is very unselfish in that he still let go of the prince because he knew that that is what the prince needed in order to grow, in order to flourish. And I think that's what the toy fox also did for the little girl, where he joined her in her journey into finding her answers, finding the
Mm.
boy, discovering what happened, right? Also, ito yung ano ko, yung parallelism ko. Ano lang yung parallelism mo, Brie, kanina? In terms of like the aviator and the girl?
It's funny how like the fan broke into the house the way the old man broke into the girl's life and like changed it and stuff.
Yeah. For me, yung parallelism ko was the fox was the girl and the aviator was the prince.
Mm.
Kasi the prince was the one who broke down the fox and tamed the fox. Same with how, okay, this is gonna sound wrong considering how, again, how weird this old man little girl dynamic is. But the old man tamed the little girl. He's the one who broke down her walls,
That's such
right?
a weird
I
sentence.
know.
Let's not say
Bonded,
teen. Maybe.
befriended.
Yun kasi yung term na ginamit ng Fox. Again, to be
Mm.
tamed is to establish connection. Okay, that's what we mean. We do no, no.
Just
Sabihin na
say
lang
he
natin,
established a
yeah.
bond with the
Okay.
girl.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
so he established a bond with the girl, like how the prince established a bond with the fox. And when the aviator had to leave and he was saying goodbye to the girl felt a lot of pain. Like how the fox felt a lot of pain when he learned that the little prince had to go and go back to his rose. Like how the aviator had to go and go back to his prince.
Mm.
You know, the only thing that's like popping in my head are like two things
Mm-hmm.
while we're talking about the fox. The first one is is a joke. I keep thinking of what does the fox say?
So,
and then and then the other one is like it's really interesting that they use the fox like to import wisdom because like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of like animals that are symbolizing of like wisdom and like knowledge and stuff, but they chose the fox,
Mm-hmm.
which I always think as like being sneaky
Oh,
and stuff.
when you said that, I thought of Dora the Explorer.
Yeah,
Swiper no
isa siya sa
swiping.
yeah, isa
Yeah.
siya sa like the most famous like sneaky foxes.
Yeah.
So, yun yung when you think of a fox, you think of like that type of personality, not like someone who's like imparting wisdom
Yeah.
to someone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because there
Right.
are other animals that are more known to be connected to wisdom and knowledge, like the owl, for
Mm,
example.
yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting that they chose a fox to do that.
don't judge a book by its cover.
That's true.
Much
That's
like
true.
how I judged the Little Princess book cover.
Oh no. Now for the snake. What do you guys remember about the snake?
I don't remember the snake.
I remember it eating an elephant. That's
No,
all
that's a
I know.
boa. That's a boa constrictor. That's a different
Oh.
one.
I don't remember.
I don't
I don't
remember the
So
remember
snake.
the snake.
the snake symbolizes death, basically. It shows that death is unavoidable. much like how he killed the prince.
Ah, he's the one with the venom and stuff.
Yes. And the snake believes that it knows everything there is to know in the whole world. That's why it speaks in riddles. There's this one conversation that I remember between the prince and the snake where the prince was like, "Where are all the men? It's a little lonely in the desert." And then the snake said, "It is also lonely among men." And then the prince answered, "You are a funny animal. You are no thicker than a finger." And then the snake replied, "But I am more powerful than the finger of a king." And then the prince said, "You haven't any feet. You can't even travel." And then the snake said, "I can carry you further than any ship could take you," referring to killing him. Because he can take the prince's soul to a different planet. Literally. That's what he's saying. So what can you say about the snake's confidence?
I don't think it's confidence. I think it's being conceited.
Can
No
you
one
explain
can
that?
possibly know everything.
It's very suited with like his animal
Yeah.
persona
Mm,
stereotype.
Among all the characters, the snake is the only one that the prince didn't really impart any sort of knowledge that he learned.
mm,
Because basically, the snake is unteachable because it already knows.
mm,
Because when the prince is questioning other grown ups, the other characters, you can kind of see the breakdown. You can kind of see them questioning whatever. And then the snake is
mm,
just, this. Lagi siya may comeback. Lagi siya may pasagot. Which is
mm.
nakakabwisit.
Mm.
Like, imagine,
It's
nagkipag-usap ka
like
sa
talking
ganun
to a
tao.
wall.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
it is a snake, so
Yeah, that's true. Now, we're gonna move on to the grown-ups. We're done talking about the people that or the entities that the prince met on Earth. We're now gonna move on to the grown-ups. The first is the king. The king is the grown-up that lives in asteroid 325 that claims to rule the entire universe, but no one follows him. Basically, his
Mm,
power is empty. If you guys remember when the prince met him, the prince asked the king, "Could you make the sun rise and then set? Because it
mm,
reminds me of my rose." And then the king is like, "I will grant you your wish if the conditions are favorable." And then the
mm.
prince said, "And when will that be?" He's like, "At 8 p.m. or maybe 8:30."
He's not sure,
Yeah,
but it
because
will set.
yeah, because like he told the prince, "I can make all the stars in the universe follow me, follow my command."
Mm.
And then they don't, because like his power is empty. He doesn't have an actual power. He just believes he can control things, but he doesn't. And I feel like we probably know someone like this in our lives.
There's a few people. We cannot name them, but there's a few.
Exactly. Yung feeling nila what they said is absolute and then no one else can counter it. I'm
Mm-mm.
like, shut the fuck up. No
mm.
one will follow you. No one believes you. Like, bro.
It's also interesting na in the movie when the little girl went to this grown-up planet, the
Hmm.
king is just an elevator boy.
Yes, that's true.
And he still believes that he has some sort of like power,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
The
And that
power he
he,
has
During
is pushing the elevator buttons.
yeah.
yeah, and that his command is absolute, so his decision will go. So if he chooses not to grant someone's floor, he can do
Mm,
so. But the thing is, if he does that, then productivity will decline, which will
mm,
then make the businessman angry. So like, does he
mm.
really have power if the businessman employs him?
If someone else pushes the button, they'll still go to that floor.
Exactly. Now for the conceited man or the traffic enforcer. He's from planet 326. He's the one who craves validation from others. Siya yung kapag pinalakpakan mo bilang, thank you, thank you so much. Yung
Ay, yung
ganon siya.
bida-bida.
Yung bida-bida. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. The funny thing about this character is he believes na he's the richest and the most handsome person on the whole planet. And then the prince goes, "But you're the only one on this planet."
I don't know who said this to me, but I know someone.
Oh,
They're like, top 1 ako. Sabi ko, talaga? E di ang talino mo pala. Sabi niya, ako lang mag-isa sa klase. Okay. Makes
ang ina
sense.
niya.
ano siya, madali 'di ba nung dun sa grown up world,
Ah,
nakatakas yung little girl
yes.
sa kanya dahil nagpalakpakan bigla
Ah.
and then
Mm.
na-distract siya. Like, it's so easy to, like, fight this dude because
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's actually like one of my notes. His intense craving for validation
Mm.
affects his productivity. It affects his work.
Mm.
Parang siya yung ano, yung mga kilala natin na puro sabi na, ay, magaling ako dyan, magaling ako dito, magaling ako dyan. Like, I'm the
Tas 'pag
best at this
pinagawa
one.
mo, ang
Oo,
pangit
wala.
ng gawa.
Oo, ang pangit ng gawa.
mm,
Or walang effort. So,
or magtatanong sa'yo.
tatanong sa'yo, anong daw gagawin?
Tas ikaw na yung gagawa.
Exactly! Tapos siya yung magkiklaim, oo, ako gumawa niyan.
Hayop. Tas parehas kayo ng grade. Nakakainis.
'Di ba? Tanginang 'yan. Pero like, he's also very insecure because he overcompensates, especially with his hat. Kasi pinoint out
Mm.
yun nung prince, 'di ba? Why do you have a hat? Sabi niya, oh, it's to you to tip the hat kapag pinalakpakan siya. As if he's certain na he will always, always, always be applauded for every, like, kahit bare minimum yung ginagawa niya.
Siguro ano, kapag nasa modern world yung guy na yun, he's gonna be one of those like influencers who's gonna do everything
Oh my God,
to
yes.
like kahit na he's getting hated, he doesn't care as long as like
He's applauded.
people are like talking about
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Bad publicity is still publicity.
exactly.
Mm.
He kind of reminds me of the Rose with the fact
Hmm.
na it's
The
all about
vanity.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about me, me, me.
But I think the difference is, at least with the rose, meron siyang may papakita. Kasi maganda naman
Mm.
talaga yung rose. Yung
Oo nga
conceited
naman.
man kasi wala. 'Di ba?
Nga
yung,
naman.
'di ba? At least yung rose, merong something, 'di ba? Yung conceited man kasi talaga wala eh. Andyan lang siya, taga-take ng credit. Gano'n. Now, the businessman, ang ating dakilang kontrabida.
You know, I have a note about that.
He looks
Mhm.
like a
I said,
thumb. Sorry. What were you saying?
masakit yung ulo ko sa'yo. I was just gonna say it's so on brand that the capitalist businessman was the one who got all the other stuff in his world and just ruined their lives
Yeah.
for business. Like all of like the other loners, like the other planets, but they all have like one planet for each of the
Mm-mm.
characters that we just
Mm.
mentioned.
Yeah.
He got all of those loners, put it in his world, and then
To serve
just
him.
ruined their lives
Yeah.
to like
Yeah,
for
made them
his
work.
quote unquote business,
Yeah.
and he was the one who like stole the stars and shit to like profit,
Mm.
and like it's so on brand
And he's basically
because
enslaving these people.
yeah, because like that's capitalism at
Yeah,
work.
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
all slaves to it.
Siya yung ano,
Yeah.
siya yung best na description sa kanya is, siya yung tao na nagkiklaim na sa kanya lahat. Siya lahat gumawa. Siya lahat yung reason kung bakit maganda lahat na nangyayari. Pero
Mm.
wala naman talaga siyang kinocontribute kasi iba yung gumagawa. Which is
Mm.
like a bit like a business owner. At least
Yeah.
we're like the bigger businesses, like the most well-known businesses, yung mga
Mm.
billionaires, right? They basically contribute nothing. And the only ones running their business are the employees.
Mm.
And yet they think na they can live without the employees.
And what's sad as well is that whatever their decision is, it goes,
Yeah,
Mm.
even though
exactly.
they're not really contributing.
And like the only way, or like the only reason the little girl and Mr. Prince defeated the businessman was when they destroyed his capital, which is the
The
stars.
The
So
stars.
stars.
basically redistribute wealth. Yun talaga
Mm.
yung point. Wealth redistribution talaga yung kailangan.
Communism.
Exactly. Because that's what happened, right? When the stars were gone, it was redistributed among the universe. Wala nang
Mm.
power yung businessman. Wala na siyang capital.
Mm.
But the thing is, ang maapektuhan din is yung mga empleyado niya. So yun din,
Yeah,
talo din
so
sila.
It's just a vicious cycle, to be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly. Yeah. Now let's talk about the baobabs before we move on to the little girl and the mother. So for the baobabs are the giant trees that grew on the little princess planet. basically, it's not really malicious. It's more parasitic. It's
Mm.
just a living thing that grows. And what it symbolizes is if someone is too lazy to work on their love, it will fester and it will eventually kill the source of the love, which is like the rose. Because eventually,
Mm.
right, the rose died after years and years of neglect.
It's Spider-Man.
What does that mean?
It's Spider-Man.
Bro.
What? I don't get it.
She disintegrated.
Ah, I don't feel so good.
Yeah.
Also, the rose wilting is also symbolic. I was gonna say symbolistic. It's also symbolic of the fact na love itself never really lasts.
Mm,
Love will stay if you put effort into it,
mm.
right? So love is a choice. Doon din tayo babalik.
Love is a feeling at first and then it becomes a choice.
Yes. And it will stay as a choice.
Mhm.
Because the
I
moment you
choose
let
not to
go.
love.
See?
Another
I thought
example
that's
that love is a choice.
I thought that's where we're going.
Pero kaya ano eh, kaya namatay yung Rose eh. Kasi the prince has stopped taking care of her and
Mm-mm.
taking care of the planet. And so all of these basically unresolved issues grew and grew and grew and grew until it took over everything. It's just a really nice metaphor. Okay, Brie, it's your time to shine.
Tourist Spies.
Okay, welcome to another tourist spot segment. This time I'm gonna be talking about Philke. Philke is a spoken word artist, and I discovered him back in 2014, I believe. Around the time I was starting to get into spoken word poetry. He's usually known with Sarah Kay. They've collaborated a lot. They've gone on tours together. I believe they have a project together. I forgot the name of the project. Project Voice. There we go. Brain things. It's called Project Voice, and I think it's like workshops, like poetry workshops that they do together. So yeah. So I have three recommendations from him. One is the poem called Beginning, Middle, and End. Basically, it's a poem that talks about how everyone has a beginning, middle, and end in their lives, but they're never on the same page and never on the same pace. So, what's someone's beginning could be someone's end and another person's middle. Like it's never linear with everyone. So, yeah, it's a really nice poem. Another one is The New Apartment, and it talks about his parents' divorce when he was younger and how it affected him and the aftermath of all the divorce, how everything stood at a standstill. The third one that I would like to recommend is called Succulents. And basically, he used taking care of a succulent to describe how people see relationships as something easily replaced. That when it's dying or on the verge of death, you can just buy another one.
Which was also recommended in a segment
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
previously.
did. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I'm just recommending it again. So that attests to how much I love it. Now, I don't even remember I already recommended it. Just like Brie.
I mean, you didn't recommend it per se. You like meant
I did a reading.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did do a read. I do remember that. So yeah, that's my recommendations for Filky. He has more stuff. He's on Spotify. If you just search Phil K and Phil K Button Poetry, you'll see all of his work. Same on YouTube. If you just search Phil K and Button Poetry, it's on there. He also has books that you can buy from Amazon. So yeah, he's great. He's one of my favorites. And yeah, thank you.
Tourist Spies.
So, what I wanted to talk about the girl first is that, oh, wait, you know what? I'm gonna talk about the mom first. I feel like the mom didn't have a plan growing up. So,
Mm.
she ended up taking, like, a working on a 9 to 5 job. And she really hated it. So, she didn't want her child to have the same thing. So, she made that, like, extensive plan in her life na parang something happened. I feel like something happened in her childhood until she grew. Now she didn't want her child to experience the same thing. Kaya she
Mm.
became that type of mom.
Mhm.
And like I just feel very bad for academically gifted children na they're being pushed by their own parents to just like study and just like focus on studying. And like I get the plan thing cuz like I'm the type of person that loves to plan things
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like
But not to
detailed
that
plans.
extent.
Yeah, detailed ako mag-plan.
Mm-mm.
Pero hindi naman yung OA na parang every minute of every day na for years as well. Like, how old is the little girl? She's like grade school or middle
Yeah, she
school?
seemed to be in grade school with just her height
Yeah,
thin.
Mm.
right? So like she's like around like 10 or something maybe?
Probably, like, yeah,
Around that age, and her mom has already planned out like her entire life, like
yeah,
it's like years ahead
yeah,
of her. And for like a 10-year-old, because like children deserve to play around and have
yeah,
fun
Mhm.
and stuff. Like, yeah, school is important, but not that important that you're going to throw away your whole childhood for it.
She doesn't even have a scheduled time to just have a break or
Yeah.
to be a child.
even her schedule for eating is like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, she has like a 20-minute time limit for breakfast,
Like,
and it's just
what if she
ridiculous.
chokes? Like, nagmamadali, "Oh, no, patapos na yung 20 minutes ko. I have to eat
Yeah,
fast."
like I understand planning for the future, especially if it's for your kids, but understand that kids are kids,
Mm.
Mm.
right? They
And
need some kind of simulation. I mean, I feel like it's also the culture of their world then, not just the
mm,
mom. Kasi 'di ba it's frowned upon if you're not essential. Literally yung sa interview nila, 'di ba yung i-interviewin yung bata, sila yung little
mm,
girl, tapos may poster. It's in French kasi, so hindi siya maintindihan. Pero what it
mm,
translates to, what do you want to be when you grow up? Essential. Essential is the answer. Yun yung
mm,
tinanong din sa kanya, yung big question sa kanya when she
mm,
was being interviewed. Basically, if what you're doing is not essential, meaning you're playing, you're indulging in childlike things, then you're not being essential.
Mm.
and it ties up to what we were talking about a while ago na strict parents just create troublesome
Sneaky,
kids.
yeah, sneaky
Yeah.
kids. Yeah,
Sneaky kid. Like, the more strict your parents are, and I feel like, especially for Lila as well, na we've experienced that, we know firsthand like how it
yeah,
feels to have a strict parent. So it really parang something tickles your brain na do this because you're
yeah,
curious, or like
Mm.
I
yeah.
want to experience what my peers are experiencing, so I'm just gonna like try my best
And
to hide
it
and like sneak around.
Yes, and it also encourages dangerous behaviors. Kasi the parents, like strict parents, aren't really fostering trust.
Mm,
Na what the kids end up thinking is, I want to experience what my peers are experiencing, regardless if it's right or wrong, but I
mm.
can't tell my parents. So I'm just gonna go in like the most dangerous of ways so I can do it. And you're
And
sneaking around, right?
ano pa, parang since you can't ask your parents about it, you wouldn't really know the risks surrounding that thing.
Yeah,
And since you're curious, you don't know anything about it, you can't ask your parents, you can't ask like the adults in your life, then you just try to find it out yourself.
yourself, yeah, which is
Yeah,
really
and
dangerous.
yeah, I have this like grade school friend. She did all of the like all of the vices that you can think of.
Oh my god.
And like she always drags me with her as well. So like a
Yeah.
lot of my offenses at school
Or because of
are,
her.
are because of her. Yeah. Like lagi ako sangkot sa
Ito
offense
ba
niya.
yung kinuwento mo before na yung parang you guys caught you were in sixth grade. People were drinking and smoking.
Oh,
And then
it's
you
like
guys were
different. In
different pa
second
yun?
grade, we were caught vandalizing the bathroom stall.
Holy shit.
Fourth grade was smoking, and sixth grade
Wow.
was drinking.
Oh
So
my
I had a
god.
lot of bad influence friends around me, and like I didn't try it myself because
Mm-mm.
I
You
was
just
scared
yeah.
of my mom finding out
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Like, my
Yeah.
mom is strict,
Yeah.
but I did do a lot of sneaky things besides the vices, but the vices itself, I couldn't really do it
Yeah.
kasi I was just scared of being caught. But yun
Yeah.
nga, yung friend kong yun na kasama ko both in smoking and the drinking incident. she she did a lot of those things because her, as in very very strict ng, especially her grandmother, so she just tried to like sneak around and like do all of the most bad things, the baddest
Mm.
things possible. And she learned how to, parang siya yung mastermind kasi sa amin. So parang sabihin niya, ito gagawin natin para hindi tayo makot. Ganon. So ito, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. So explain niya yung plan niya. And like, she learned how to do that because she had a strict
Yeah.
family. And
Mhm.
like, she had to like, parang she had to survive on knowing the ins and outs of sneaking just so she wouldn't get caught. Although we did get caught. So,
Ganyan din ako. Like, again, as Brie have said, strict parents raise good liars,
mm,
basically. I became really good at estimating time
mm,
because I
Yan,
was sneaking
nakakapunta ka
around.
pa ng Laguna.
Yeah. Nakapunta ako ng Laguna for a fucking date nang hindi
mm,
alam ng parents ko. And all they knew was that andun lang ako sa Pasay. Pupunta ako ng Laguna.
Ang ganda.
mm,
Pero yung time na nawala ako, fitting pa rin as if nasa Pasay lang ako.
mm,
I got really good at estimating time. As in, considered na yung traffic, considered na yung like any other external factors that could affect the time,
mm.
I've considered it. I still got home on time. So,
I have
yeah.
a story similar, a similar
Mm-hmm.
story. We were out drinking.
Yeah.
Cause alam ko kayo kasama ko na. I'm not sure with Lila cause like Lila doesn't really drink. But
Yeah.
like alam ko tropa natin yun eh yung kasama ko.
Yeah.
Basta we were drinking and then I got home. Eh di ba nga oh wait, the viewers might not the listeners might not know this, but like I don't get easily drunk. So
Mm-hmm.
like very heavyweight. So even though I like drank a lot, parang it didn't really show na I was drunk. So I
Mm-hmm.
got home and then I was like still parang normal ganyan. My mom was like asking how was school ganyan. I was like fine ganyan. And then I was like brushing my teeth and then my sister got home and then my mom was like, did you were you out drinking? And then my sister's like, I didn't drink. It's like, but ayaw mo sabihin na lang sa akin, ganyan. And I was like brushing my teeth. I'm like, out of the two of us, I was the one drinking. But sure. Like I was brushing my teeth very slowly. It's like,
Parang yung guilt dapat,
Should I
ano
say
yun?
something?
kasi nag-away sila.
Oh my
Tapos,
gosh.
ayun, nag-ano na. Tapos, pumunta. Kasi at that time, my sister and I share the same room. So I was like, tapos na ako mag-toothbrush, nag-wash up na ako, tapos humiga na ako. Paghiga ako, ramdam ko lahat ng effects ng alcohol. Pero nakikinig pa din ako sa, ano nila, sa back and forth nilang dalawa. I'm like, I'm really good at this, aren't I?
yung moment of realization na I'm a good liar happened when the Laguna thing happened.
Right?
Like
It's,
when I got home and then my mom like didn't suspect anything. Like, I
yeah.
mean, they would always hate it if I'm hanging out with my friends. I mean,
Mm,
if you guys remember, the listeners doesn't know this, but we had this gigantic confrontation back then.
Mm.
Na
mm,
basically bottom line nila is I'm not allowed to have friends for like personal connection. I'm only
mm,
allowed to have friends because school requires it, and then that's it.
mm,
That's how that's their view of of friendships. That's why that made me realize this. I can't recall any personal friends my parents have. If they hang
Mm.
out, it's usually with workmates
mm,
or with their own cousins, but no like actual friends that they made when they were
mm.
studying.
Mm.
And they want me to be the same. I'm like, no way. No way. No, thank you. But yeah,
Oh, really?
So
'Cause
what do
like,
you tell them about
sinasab
us?
yeah, what do they know
I mean,
about
they
us?
know. I mean, they can't really do anything anymore. I already made it a point that they cannot control every aspect of my life.
We're
We
business partners.
no, they know we're friends, but they look down on it. Yeah. I've already made it a point, especially nung pag-graduate na tayo. it's
Mhm.
become increasingly clear na I'm already my own person. Kaya nung ano, if you guys remember, nung sumasama na ako sa inyo when you guys are drinking, again, kayo
Yeah.
lang yung umiinom, doon lang ako with my juice. Nililibre lang ako ni Brie ng juice, tas iniinom ko lang yung juice ko. Tas nakakauwi ako like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., they don't question anything. Because they've
Mm.
already realized na, Lila's her own person. We can't do anything anymore. So,
Yeah.
if I decide to make personal friends, then wala sila magagawa doon. Ang gagawin nila?
Alam
Ang
mo yung mga
gagawin?
sa drama, like, ito yung pera. Layuan mo yung anak ko. Ganun. Ah,
Eh,
sige po,
Naka-open po
kayo
tita.
kami
wish.
for
Sige po,
that.
tita. Kahit po yung isang
Kaso,
Sabihan niyo
bahay
lang
nyo na lang
po.
po.
kaso di kami ganun kayaman, pasensya na.
Yung isang
Name
bahay nyo
your
na lang
price,
po.
tita.
Yung isang bahay
Yung
na lang.
bahay na lang,
Yung isang
libreng
bahay
rent
na
na
lang.
lang.
Hindi na rent. Mismong deed na kamo.
Bigay na. Gago.
Sige
But
po,
yeah,
lalayo po kami kay Lila.
gago.
Okay, going back to the little
Yes.
girl and the mother. Ayun nga, so as I was saying, it makes sense na she just like, since the aviator was the only adult that she parang met na allows for that childhood, like childish tendencies.
Yeah.
So obviously the child would be very parang attracted to that type of experience, or like
Yeah.
adventure is what I want to
And
say.
kids are naturally curious. It's the
Mm.
adults that are like very defensive of things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
kaya okay, I'm not saying that the aviator is this, pero it makes sense why groomers
Oh,
can
yeah.
easily get a victim, because
Yeah.
children are just naturally curious, and just like, especially if they have
They're
like,
very trusting as well.
yeah,
They're
and
also
especially if they have like an experience with their family, or like people
yeah,
in their lives that constricts them. So like
yeah.
they will gravitate towards that person, like
Yeah.
giving
Like
them that thing
anyone,
that they.
yeah, like anyone who supports them.
Mm-mm.
They will lean more into that.
Kaya the aviator could potentially be.
Yeah, it's a good thing that it's not that type of story, but if it
Yeah.
is,
It's
right?
concerning.
Parang
Yeah,
PSA
right.
din siya for parents din, like for helicopter parents.
Mm. I mean,
Yeah.
makes sense now why the mother panicked, but
Yeah.
she panicked in the wrong way, because she was
She
panicking because the plan was being ruined.
yeah, she panicked because one the plans, and she panicked because she does look down on the man.
Mm.
Like she
Mm.
thinks the man is less than.
Yeah, and not because he could potentially harm the her
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
But I'm glad na at the end we got to like see the mom kind of like embracing a bit of her childish tendencies. I feel like because she lost hers as well, and like she stole her daughter's childhood.
Yeah.
Parang it's
Mm.
nice to see that like at the end of the movie they got to like capture, like recapture that
Yeah.
essence. Mm.
Also, yung confrontation nila nung mother niya, it reminded me of my own confrontation with my parents. Yung nag-away sila. Yung nahuli, di ba yung birthday daw nila kunyari, tapos nag-drive yung aviator, and then nahuli sila ng pulis, tapos
Ah.
pinauwi yung mom.
Mm.
And that's when the mom
Mm.
found out na yung friend, quote-unquote, ni nung little girl is actually the old man, and not like a neighborhood child that she met. And then it really reminded me so much of what my parents told me. Sabi nung mom, you even managed to lighter your life plan. And then the girl said, that's just one box full of magnets. Sometimes I think you care more about it than me. And then sabi nung mom, you're wrong. I care about it as much as I care about you. It's you. This is your life. And I'm the only one
Mm.
taking responsibility. And then the girl's like, that's your version of my life, not mine. If you were ever around, you'd see that. Sabi nung mom, you'd know full well why I have to work so hard. And then the girl's like, you're just like him now. Too busy, always working. How long until you completely disappear? And then the mom diverted the conversation and kind of iniba niya yung ano bang term yun? Basta iniba niya yung ibe-blame instead of taking
Mhm.
accountability. Na ni-read niya yung storybooks, ay yung leaflets nung story ni Aviator. Tapos pinulit niya, sabi niya, enough of this nonsense. Ginanon niya yung sinabi ng
Storybook.
bata. Hindi lang, yung sinabi ng bata, yung away nila, it's nonsense. And it just reminded me of my own confrontation with my parents na I finally let out yung resentment ko and like why I was feeling the way I was feeling, the why I was doing the things I was doing, why I was sneaking out and lying. And then sabi nila, binigay namin sa'yo lahat. Like, pinag-aral ka namin. Wala kang karapatan magreklamo. Dapat masaya ka lang. Yun yung sabi nung parents ko. And I'm like, when I watched this, the first time I watched this when I was going through a breakup, guys. Jesus
So, mo
fucking
talagang
Christ.
sinasaktan ka, no?
Yung pinanood ko when I was going through a breakup was Scum Swish, The Little Prince, and A Silent Voice.
Tignan mo, sinasaktan talaga yung sarili. Ano ba 'to?
So yun.
Parehas
Like,
kayo ni Brie.
And you have the nerve to call my comfort anime. Excuse you.
because because that is stressful. It's stressful. It's convoluted.
Oh,
What
and
you're doing is
and silence
convoluted as well.
a silent voice isn't stressful? Are you serious? Have
Bree,
you
we're
watched?
Bree, we're mentally ill. Okay. That's it. I have nothing else to say. We're just mentally ill. Anyway, yun, it reminded me so much of that na yung finally, di ba nag-let out ka ng emotions mo and all of a sudden, no, mali ka. Mali na nararamdaman mo yan. Dapat ganito. And
Mm.
I
sobrang,
know.
ooh,
I know what you feel.
yeah.
The difference is my mom has a ano yan? Victim
Victim
complex.
complex. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only is she saying no to my feelings, she's saying na
Siya yung
para
victim.
yeah, she's like making it seem like I'm being ungrateful.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
I guess.
I didn't choose to be alive.
I wanted to die, but like yeah,
Exactly.
everybody's stopping me. So what can I do? I'm
And then
sorry. This
yung
is a bit gruesome for the little prince.
I mean, the little prince died, so I guess it fits.
Oh.
We have one death scene. Tapos, just to add din, yung sinabi ni Brie na kids or like young people tend to gravitate towards anyone who gives them support, right?
Hmm.
I experienced the same thing with my ex. Now, my ex is not a groomer, okay? No one is saying that. She's not. Like, we're literally like the same age. And then, ano lang, it's the fact na I'm
She was
lucky.
supportive of you.
Yeah, she was supportive of me and I'm lucky na she's genuinely a good person. Pati
Mm.
yung best friend niya. Like, I am
Hmm.
so lucky na they're actually good people and that they're not like groomers who could take advantage of
They
me.
didn't take
Mm.
advantage of your innocence because you were very
Yeah.
innocent before you met them.
Yeah, they didn't. They actually like preserved that. Every time they talk about something I'm unaware of, unaware of, they're like, Lila, it's okay. You don't need to know. Like they would actually shield me from like having my innocence ripped away from me, to be honest.
Hmm.
So I got lucky. But if hindi sila ganon, if they're one of those like really really evil people who could take advantage of me,
Hmm.
like that's gonna be bad news, to be honest. But yeah, I was sneaking around because I would prefer to be with them than be at
Hmm.
home
Mm.
because I was getting the support that I needed from them
Hmm.
instead of my parents. And now, like in retrospect, I understand why my parents didn't like me sneaking around. I mean, what parent would want their kids sneaking around? Like no one,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's like really unsafe. But I also don't think I can exactly be blamed for it because I was just looking for a support system na I couldn't get from home.
And like some freedom because you feel very
Yeah.
constricted at your own
Yeah.
house.
Exactly. Like I don't even have my own bedroom in my own house. Like now
See?
that I moved, right? Brie, you can relate, right? This is the first time you've had your own room, right?
Yeah.
When you moved to that house. Me too. When
And
I
I'm like
moved,
20. I was like, how old am I? 24, 21. I was 21.
yeah, me, I was like 23 when I moved out, and that was the very first time I had my own room.
Yeah, we kind of like moved away from like our old place at the same time, because like
Yeah.
2020, right? We
Yeah.
went to Canada and I moved to a new place.
Yeah, exactly. So like around
Mm.
the same time, medyo nagparallel yung ano natin. But yeah, like I never had my own room. So I never had my own space. I never had my own cabinet where I could put my own clothes in. It's all shared with my parents and my siblings.
Mm.
So yung pagsistay out late ko until like 7 p.m. just to be with my friends was like the only taste of freedom that I had back then. First time kong mag-cut ng classes nung college kasi I could. Kasi it's college. Like, you're not,
Yeah, no one
di,
cares.
di ba?
No one
Yeah, like, no one
cares.
cares. Because, like, in high school, every single person, every single staff has a record of every single student that comes in and out of the
Mm.
school. So the parents will know. But in college, no one cares. Like, when I met them, I had a taste of, like, freedom. And again, I wasn't even doing anything wrong or, like, illegal.
Mm.
I was literally just in school, like, in campus, not even in a bar or anything. We were in campus, just on the benches, just talking. That's all we were doing. That's it. So
And then you met us and we caught to drink.
that's true. That's true. But it's fine. I was already like older
Th-
that time. It's fine.
this sounds like a very bad influence thing. Guys, remember Lila's actually older than us.
Yeah, I'm the oldest in this trio.
But
I'm not
like,
the oldest in the tropa.
yeah.
One person is like older than me, but and like another one's like the exact same age
Pero
as
kami
me.
yung pasimuno sa tara cut.
Yeah.
Tara,
Yeah.
wala namang
So
coffee.
Tara inom.
ako yung sumasama lang, inom na ng juice. Pag sinabi ni Brie, Lila, bibilhan kita ng juice, sama ka sa amin. Okay, I have my juice. I'll be
May
fine.
pang bribe.
Mother hen, ganun.
I
So
thought you
yeah,
were mother cub. We're your baby cubs.
Ah, I don't,
you did
let's not,
say that before.
no, I did not.
You did.
No, I
Okay.
did not.
Bree's being
So,
in denial, Kay.
so
It's fine.
the girl and the mom.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it reminded me of like that period of my life where I had the big confrontation and the rebellious face and stuff. And again, like the little girl, technically the girl wasn't like doing anything bad. She's just
Hmm.
playing. That's it. Like playing on
She's
the
just being a
plane.
child. Yeah.
Yeah, like drawing, like painting, drawing pictures, reading books. That's all she was doing. And me too. Like I was literally just inside the campus, not even anywhere else, just sitting on one of the benches talking with my friends. That's it. But again, I still understand why my parents and even the mother had that reaction because again, no one wants their kids staying out late like that, like
Or
doing
like
things you're not
lying.
lying or like doing things you're unaware of because it is unsafe. It's like a safety thing as well.
Hmm.
But it wouldn't really happen if there's open communication, if
Hmm.
there's
There's no
trust,
control.
and there's no control. Yes. Because even if kids are kids, even if they're like tiny and innocent, they're still their own person and they have
Hmm.
every right to foster their own personalities in like the
Hmm.
healthiest way without being restricted, which is what happened with
I
the
mean,
girl.
parents should just be there to guide their children,
Yeah. Like the
but
fox.
but not forcefully push something to that child na ito gawin mo, ito gawin mo.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like again going back dun sa fox. It's like what the fox did, right? What the fuck
What
did?
did the fox say?
What the fox did? It's like what the red fox did. Even though he doesn't want the little prince to leave, he knows that he has to because that's the only way the little prince could have a life and like
To grow.
foster his yeah and like yeah have some growth in himself. Dapat ganun.
Mm.
But our parents did what they did. It is what it is. And even now, like kahit na I resent that time, I fully understand na that's like the way they know how to protect us. So I can't say it's good though. I still resent it.
It's not
Because
necessarily right, but that's
yeah.
just what they know.
Yeah, I understand when they're where they're coming from. Doesn't mean I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yun lang yun.
Mm.
Tourist spots.
Welcome to yet again another tourist spots, and this time I am recommending Sarah Kinsley, my queen. Well, one of my queens. I have a lot of queens. She's Chinese American. She's based in California, and I really, really love her voice. I discovered her by accident, actually. She started with classical music, but now she's making alternative pop. She has a dreamy vibe to her songs, and it feels like you're being transported to another universe. So I highly recommend her. The songs I recommend are The Giver, I'm Not a Mountain, and The King. So The Giver is about being taken advantage of by another person and you're not even in a relationship. It's just a situationship. And it's about being afraid of abandonment, so you give a lot to this person. It's very relatable. Next is I'm Not a Mountain. Ito naman about siya sa feelings of powerlessness. The lyrics literally goes, I'm not a mountain, I will crumble when you go. So it's very, very raw. The emotions are there, the feels. And also, last one is The King. So The King, it's very empowering. It's about the ideal self of what you want to be, and it served its it served its purpose.
Kaya mo yan.
It served its purpose sa akin kasi whenever I listen to it, I feel like a powerful bitch, and hopefully you feel that way too. um, Her sound also gives me very cottagecore, or as per Bree's words, garden girl aesthetic. So if you wanna feel like a garden girly, listen to Sarah Kinsley. Thank you.
Tourist Spies.
Now the grown up planet. We're just gonna like circle back to that. I think it's just like an exaggeration of the present day Earth.
Mm-mm.
Like in the film, as in the little girl's world, it's like an over exaggeration. Yung lahat bleak, lahat time, perfect timing, sobrang ano,
Mm.
parang sobrang rigid.
Para silang factory.
Yeah,
Pero if you
exactly.
think about it, that's literally how a lot of like companies work. A
That's true.
very bleak environment, very time lagi, tas
Yeah,
overtime pa minsan,
yeah.
tapos just like
Mm.
work lang
Always
talaga.
productivity, productivity, productivity.
You can see
Mm-mm.
that in a lot of like Asian country
Yes.
Mm.
companies as well.
Honestly, that's actually what I noticed because in the Philippines, right, I'm quite familiar with my mom's like work environment, kind of. I've
Mm,
heard things from you guys.
mm,
I've worked somehow in the Philippines as well, right? Kahit OJT man yan, it's still work. And I compared that to my experience to working here in Canada. And mas ano sila, they're more open to like mental health and stuff. They're encouraging you to ask for help because usually, especially in the Philippines, in the work culture, if you're taught once, you're expected to know everything. If you make
Mm-mm.
one mistake,
mm.
parang demoted ka, or like you're gonna have like minus points sa appraisal or whatever.
Ano pa, you know naman yung country na sinusupport namin for
Yes.
recruitment, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes.
gonna say what it is, but it's an
Yeah.
Asian country.
Yes.
Parang makikita mo din yun whenever I recruit for someone in that specific Asian country, a lot of the times it's like the experience in that specific country, like the companies in that specific country versus if they work in a global company that is like
Mm.
headquartered in like a Western company. I mean a Western country. It's like it's always that versus na you have to look out for kasi if you just look at the employees or like candidates from and their experience is from just that specific countries like headquartered dun sa specific country na yun, it's mostly
Parang
very
local
local.
company.
It's very bleak, tapos very rigid, tapos parang
Mm.
gawin mo to, gagawin mo to. Parang ganun lang lagi. Versus when if it's a global company, it's like more strategic, more hands-on yung work, and parang
Mm-mm.
there's like back and forth communication and stuff ganon. And it's very blatant whenever we recruit tapos parang we have to look out for those types of candidates kasi very different yung experiences nila
Yeah.
from each other. Like Kay and I work at the same company, so Kay knows what I'm talking about. Pero yun din yung mapapansin mo. And that specific country is very famous with its like work environment then, 'di
Mm-mm.
ba? Na puro as in
Very
focus ka lang.
intense.
Oo.
Work.
As in work kung work
As in the
talaga.
work culture is like very ridiculous.
Mm. And you
Mm-mm.
can
Like,
see it in other Asian countries as
yeah,
well if you hear like their specific companies.
yeah,
And I think I've mentioned this before, but I have been in multiple companies before, and I've experienced it firsthand how it is focused on work. So
yeah,
when we watched The Little Prince and we got into that grown up world scene, it felt very
real.
familiar.
And
I mean,
di
it's
ba
I
over
that,
know this.
exaggerated, pero the vibe feels very familiar.
Just reminded me. I was looking at your notes, and
Mhm.
you have a note there that says everyone is a slave to capitalism, and it made me laugh because that's what I say whenever I'm tired at work. I'm like, I'm a slave to capitalism. I need to work.
Mm,
Kailangan ko umabot sa sweldo.
Yeah, honestly, me too. Kapag, kasi di ba yung work ko rin kasi, it's not just physically taxing, it's also
mm,
mentally draining.
Mm-mm.
mm,
Kasi sobrang intense nung work ko. And
mm.
sometimes I just don't want to work at all. But I'm like, I need money. I need money.
And it's kind of sad as well kasi when payday comes, parang titignan mo lang kung magkano nakuha mo, tapos you need to like pay off all your bills
Yeah. So,
agad. So parang
mawawala
hindi
din.
hindi siya nagsistay sa bank mo for like
Yeah.
5 minutes man lang or like one
Yeah.
minute. Kailangan mo na siyang ilabas
Distribute.
agad. Oo.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Mm,
just, ugh. Anyway, so let's move on to themes and symbolisms. I've already mentioned a few earlier, pero let's just go through them again one by one. So, na-mention ko yung interview ng little girl, right? The poster.
mm,
Nakalagay doon, yung question sa kanya, like the big
Mm-hmm.
question was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then hinimatay siya, right? Kasi sobrang rigid nung na-learn niya eh. And then, yung poster outside of the auditorium, it also said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then the answer is essential. And then yung kinidnap na siya dun sa grown-up planet, di ba? Yung naka-chain siya sa table. Tapos merong book siya na kailangan niyang basahin to become a grown-up. Yung title niya is The Essential Guide to Everything Essential. Basically, like what the adults in this film is saying na anything childhood, hindi siya essential. Everything has to be productive. Everything you do, kahit hobbies mo, it has to
Mm.
be something productive. It has to be something that contributes to something.
Pero like that's also like in real life, parang if you're not
Yeah,
contributing
It's
something to
really sad.
society, whether it's like something in your work and stuff,
yeah, you're
then yeah,
useless.
you're useless.
And then if you are contributing something through art, people will undermine that and diminish that and say art is nothing, art is unimportant. You have to
Mm,
be a doctor.
mm,
So,
Mm.
and then as Kay has mentioned, everyone is a slave to capitalism. And that is very reflective of the grown-up planet and planet Earth
Yep.
and the present day. And then, if you guys notice, I guess this will be familiar with Kay more than with Brie. Yung first official meeting ng aviator and the girl,
Mm.
di ba, yung pumuslit yung bata dun sa sa fence na butas. Tapos, nakikinig sa music yung aviator and then
Mm.
he was like fixing up the
Yeah.
plane. And then it kind of popped and then the parachute opened and then fell on
Yeah.
them. Yung silhouette nila when it dropped on them, it looked like the boa eating the elephant.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oo nga, no.
I will. I right like I will show you later,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's like
That's a nice detail.
it's a very nice detail.
Mhm.
mm,
Tapos, na-mention ko din, ay hindi ko pala na-mention. Yung first time na sinabi ng aviator that he's leaving,
Mhm.
if you guys remember that scene, the aviator hung the toy plane by the windowsill, parang hinok niya, and then he turned it on and it was like flying in circles.
Yeah.
It did the same thing when the little girl was rescuing Mr. Prince,
Oh,
and
the
then the
circle, the thing.
yeah, right, yeah, like the plane was like hooked by the machine,
Mhm.
and then they turned it on, and then they were trying to escape it, and it was like flying in circles
Mm.
around the dome of stars.
Mm.
So yeah, wala lang. Just some nice details lang.
Good foreshadowing.
Yes.
mm,
Now, let's just go through a few of the characters Nah. Hindi siya na-emphasize in the film, but they are in the book, and some characters that were never ever mentioned. So first one is the drinker or the drunkard. He's from asteroid 327. He represents irony and hypocrisy. Kasi what he does is he drinks to forget his shame of drinking too much. Yes. It was shown in the film. Yun yung naka-escape na sila. Tapos parang nare-remember ni Mr. Prince. Oh, that's asteroid this, asteroid that. And then nag-close up lang siya dun sa ano. It's like on the asteroid na puro bote ng alcohol.
Mm.
So they
Ako
showed
yan.
that. So yun. He's ashamed that he drinks too much. So he drinks more to forget
Mood.
about his shame.
You can't be
And then the
sad if you're always drunk.
Mood.
exactly. You have no time to dwell on your emotions.
Mood.
And then the next one is the lamplighter, or the lamppost lighter. He's from asteroid 329. He's at first the prince didn't really understand what he's doing. Like he thinks it's useless because all the lamppost lighter does is turn on the lamp. That's all he does. And the prince was like, "What use is that?" And then he realizes that he actually admires the lighter's dedication to his work
Mm,
and his dedication to follow instructions. And out of all the adults that the little prince met, the lamppost lighter was the only person or the only adult he can see himself befriending.
mm,
Mm.
And then we have the geographer from asteroid 330. He is a very educated adult, but he refuses to learn about his own planet because he believes that it's the explorer's job to do that. So he knows so many things about asteroids and planets and all of that stuff, but he knows nothing about his own because
mm.
it's not his job to do so. All he needs to do is like map out things and like study other planets instead of his own.
That's like me.
The,
Hindi ko trabaho yan, bala kayo dyan.
I'm not paid for this. Balakidyon. And then the prince learned from the geographer that his flower will not live forever.
Mm,
Now, for the characters that were never mentioned in the film, but or at least I don't think they were mentioned in the film, but they are in the book. There are four characters here. First is the railway switchman. He has more perspective on life than the dissatisfied and thoughtless adult passengers riding his trains.
mm,
And he agrees with the prince that children are the only ones to really appreciate the beauty of life.
mm,
Kasi although it's the idea na although yung passengers niya they're like traveling from place to place, that's all they're doing. They have like a very nagta-tunnel vision sila.
Mm.
Parang yun yung metaphor niya.
mm,
Nagta-tunnel vision sila and that's all they see. Meanwhile, the railway switchman, he sees the lives of all of these other people. So he has like a broader perspective on things, even though he's not really moving anywhere. The next one is the sales clerk. So the sales clerk sells this potion or like this pill, some kind of medicine to quench your thirst because it will make you more productive because you will save 57 like 53 minutes a day not having to drink.
mm.
So if you buy the pill, you will become more productive because you don't have to drink water.
We spend almost 1 hour drinking water?
I mean, we don't drink water like every hour anyway, so that potion is
Yeah,
useless.
but like collectively, right? From the moment you wake up when you eat and you're always like drinking
I'm more
water.
surprised
But
by
yeah,
that fact. Now we spend almost an hour just drinking water.
yeah. I mean, di ba, like someone put into perspective how much time we spend sleeping.
Mm, true.
So
We spend half of it
also
asleep in our life.
exactly. So basically, the sales clerk represents those people who keeps on taking shortcuts
Mm,
to save time. And then we have the three petal flower. The flower lives alone in the desert and tells the prince that there are only a handful of men. Kasi that's all it sees. Parang nakikita nga lang yung mga naglalakad, nagpapass by sa
mm,
kanya na mga caravans, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos sabi niya, the flower believes na those men, since they don't have roots, they will never stay.
mm,
Yun yung perspective niya.
Mm.
And then we have the Turkish astronomer. Pinakita niya yung reality of racism and xenophobia. So yes, merong ganong topics in the Little Prince.
mm,
Basically, the Turkish astronomer was the first to discover the Little Prince's planet,
mm,
B612, or like the asteroid. And when he presented that to a panel. No one believed him kasi he's wearing Turkish costume.
Mm.
And then someone told him, like I think it was his boss, he told the Turkish astronomer to dress up in a Western way, in a quote unquote fabulous way. And then he presented the same thing again, the same asteroid, and people believed him because
Mm.
he doesn't look Turkish anymore.
Of course.
Of course, that's gonna happen. So yeah, that's all the characters. Ratings.
That's a lot of characters.
It is.
I get
It
why they didn't
is.
include everyone.
Yeah, because it's loaded.
And like yung ibang characters, point out na lang. Oh, siya yun. Oh, siya rin yun.
Wala na silang budget for a
Ah,
voice actor.
yung drunkard nga daw, bote lang nga daw yung pinakita. I just want to say before I go with my rating, Lila sounded like a storyteller, book
Hmm.
Oh,
person, storyteller. I
oh
should have just
really?
stopped with the storyteller. I don't know why I added book
Book
person.
person.
um, but yeah, you sounded like a storyteller.
Oh, is that a good thing or
It's
a
a
bad
good
thing?
thing. I mean,
Okay.
you hear like people like reading to like children and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, my ratings.
Yeah.
So my rating for plot, I gave it a 27%. As like Leela have mentioned throughout the episode, the plot is really interesting in a sense that there's like a lot of small details, a lot of metaphors, a lot of symbolisms as well. And like we go back and forth with the little girl and the little prince, and you see kind of like similarities with the way the little prince lived and the way the little girl is living currently. And you have like this back and forth between them. It's just interesting to see, which brings me to my execution, which is 27 out of 30 as well. That's like 9 in raw score. Yeah, as I've mentioned, it's nice to see them like going back and forth, like just showing like parallelism with one character to another. And it's always like the symbolisms and like the small details that make up storytelling, which is really nice to see. Cinematography also, I gave it a 9 in the raw score, so that's 18 out of 20%. I like the usage of animation and the
Stop
stop
motion.
motion. I was like, puppet string is not the word that I'm looking for. I like the usage of like the animation for the, should I say, modern world, or like the world of the little girl versus
Yeah.
the stop motion, which is the world of the little prince. And then at the end, we kind of had like that animation for the little girl meeting Mr. Prince, meeting Mr. Prince, and then when he went back to being the little prince, it became like stop motion again. It's an interesting detail for me. And acting, the voice acting, I actually just gave a 12 out of 20. That's like 8 in raw score.
15 out of
Oh,
15.
15.
12 out of 15. Yeah.
Sorry, it's 12 out. I was like thinking that. I was like, why is it so low? But it's supposed to be an 8 in raw score. So it's 12 out of 15. Um, I don't know. There really isn't that much standout for me when it comes to the voice acting. I did like the emotions that they were like showing in some certain scenes, but if I think about it now, there's like nobody's like standing out for me. But I like that they have a child voice, the little girl, and like an adult voicing. Obviously, the mother and like the other adults as well. Isn't it Rachel McAdams who voices the mother?
Yes.
Right?
Mm-mm.
And like
Yes.
you can never go wrong with Rachel McAdams. She's like one of my favorites too. And soundtrack, I gave it a perfect score. I mean, should I say less? Like the what's that?
Sweet
Yeah,
walk.
that one.
Sweet walk.
I was thinking of the word, yeah. After that, when we were watching the movie, we were all just like living for that song. So I gave it a perfect score. And I feel like the usage of like the sounds throughout the movie as well. I really like the part, like the song during the montage with the mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice. And overall I give it an 89%.
So, for my rating, actually, halos same lang kami ni Brie ng ratings. I was actually
Mm-hmm.
surprised.
Lagi tayong
Nagkaiba lang kami
same
sa acting.
for some reason.
Nagsisync yung brains niyo.
Yun yung kulang sa tulog. Kaya nagsisync. Anyways, for plot, I gave it 27 out of 30. It's really good. It gave a lot of homage to the book while also having its own story. And I really like the fact that they also didn't give a name for the little girl and the mother. It's just little girl and the mother. So execution also 27 out of 30. They executed it in a way that's easily digestible for both adults and kids. It's really a family movie that you can just turn on, and I feel like everybody would enjoy it.
But they killed
And
the little
then
prince. Is it really a family movie?
let's just say that. The animation, I gave it 18 out of 20. Kahit na most of the movie I'm not looking because stop motion makes me really anxious. But I do appreciate the animation.
The art.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
art. And acting, I give it 13 out of 15. Same with Brie. Nothing really stood out to me, but I do think they did a good job. And then soundtrack, of course, perfect score, 5 out of 5. So my overall score is 90%.
Ako yung
Isa lang.
pinakamataas. Okay, so before I go into my rating, I forgot like one detail. It's gonna be very quick. So I noticed the asteroid numbers for the book
Mhm.
and in the book and in the film are kind of different. The only one that's like consistent was the Drinkers asteroid, asteroid 327. So, wala lang. I don't really know why they changed up the numbers, but that's just what I noticed. Yeah.
Feeling ko nakalimutan nila yung drama.
Oh yeah.
Or baka
Or
nagbabasa sila nung libro, tapos hanggang
Nag-mix
dun lang
mali-mali.
sila dun sa ano, sa
nag-mix up na
Jonker.
yung mga numbers kamo.
Yeah. Kasi nag-iba-iba yung numbers sa
Ang
pansin ko eh.
daming
Anyway,
numbers.
so for my rating, for the plot, I gave it a 27 out of 30. Basically, the only reason I docked 1 point is because the idea of the old man and the little girl having a friendship is very questionable. That's it, to be honest. But otherwise, the plot is very good. For the execution, I gave it a 30 out of 30. I really like the storytelling, the foreshadowing, the back and forth between the little girl and the little prince, the parallelisms, how they handled, yeah, the parallelisms between the characters for like the little girl and like the fox and the aviator and the prince. For the animation or the cinematography, I gave it a 20 out of 20. I am a sucker for stop motion. It's like one of my favorite things. I
Mm.
am the complete opposite of Kay. I love stop motion. And yeah, I just love animated films basically, like just in general. It's like one of my favorite types of films ever. For the acting, same reasoning as Brie. There's nothing that stood out to me, but they're very distinct. That's what I like. So I gave it a 13.5 out of 15. The voice actors really gave character and gave life to the characters that they're portraying. Next one is the soundtrack. Of course, it's gonna be perfect. Why wouldn't it be perfect? Swim mo, swim mo.
We were
I give
singing
it
it
a
by
five
the
out of
end.
exactly. Like it's also very nostalgic then. Like
Mm.
when you hear it, you can't help but really reminisce about your childhood,
Mm.
Mm.
which I think like is like the intended impact of the song. So all in all, my rating for The Little Prince is 95.5%. So the collective rating of Sidetracked for the film The Little Prince is 91.5%. And I am very satisfied with that. So that's it for The Little Prince. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any more insights about the characters or the story, any trivia that you may have about the book, please tweet at us. We have our social media on the description and on our website, official
Yan na naman
sidetrackedfam.weebly.com.
Naku,
tayo.
I
nakalimutan
am
din
I
niya.
am rushing because like we're running out of time. So I'm rushing. So yes, everything will be linked in the website. It's also gonna be in the description. So
This has been Side.
Tracked.
Here's to never forgetting our inner child. Goodbye.
Bye.
It was like you're saying, here's to never growing up. That song. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.